Hello and welcome to my channel. Have you ever asked yourself, how do you monitor and control projects in a project environment? Don't look elsewhere. In this video, I'm going to take you through step by step on all that you need to monitor and control project activities in a project environment. So let's get started. Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is Oscar Mbira. I'm a certified project and program manager. So this is a channel which I use to help aspiring and practicing project managers to succeed. So in this particular video, I'm going to take you through one of the most important process group in project management, which is called the monitoring and controlling process. So this process group contains about 12 processes. These 12 processes are very, very important, and they cover through the 10 knowledge bases that are required, especially when you're going through for project management professional certification or even exams. So let's get started. So in a project environment, there are some very iterative processes that you should expect to be going through in a project environment. Remember, a process consists of the input, and then you also have the actual process, which has got the tools and the techniques, and then you also have the output. We normally call them ITTOs, okay? We normally call them ITTOs. So in a project environment, after you have been authorized to start a project, which is initiation, you have also planned on how you're going to execute the project, and you're now executing the project. The monitoring and controlling runs across all these particular processes or knowledge base. It runs across all these particular processes or knowledge areas, which means even if when you're initiating the project, you still need to monitor those processes for initiating the project. Are they being done right? In terms of the documents to be produced, the quality, is it okay? For example, if it's project charter, the stakeholder identification, you also need to monitor because you're going to assign work packages to project members to work on them. So you need to monitor and also control. You can monitor, say for example, by having weekly meetings. Some they do daily, monthly, and so on and so forth. It depends on the type of the project and also how long the project is going to run. Then in terms of control, you can also do it probably in terms of the members that are joining the project. You can go for a project lead who is going to be helping you to control that project. So project monitoring and control process, it has got so many activities that you have to consider. It's very important because remember, when you're doing project control and monitoring, you want to do some reviews, you want to do some inspection just to make sure that things are okay. You are also going to do some measuring just to make sure that things are okay. So it's also very, very important that you consider that. So during the process of project monitoring and controlling, there are so many activities which are very, very important to consider. For example, you want to do some inspection. Probably you even want to do some quality checks. You want to do some measuring of some things. You also want to do some reviews. You want to make sure things are being done properly. So we're going to go through these specific expected activities one by one. So let's move on. So one of the most important activities during the monitoring and controlling process is to make sure that the work is being done properly. It's being done according to time. It's being done within scope and also within budget. It is very, very important. So anything that is done from the initiation process all the way up to a closing process, you must make sure that it's within the boundaries or the parameters of the approved project baselines, as an example. So it's very important that during this monitoring, you just have to make sure. I've seen some other project managers, they try to do it on their own, but what I normally do is I make use of the team managers, or even sometimes if it's something that is technical and beyond the capacity of the team, we can also introduce other guys to assist in terms of monitoring and also controlling. But it all depends from project to project, project size to project size. But it's also very important that during this time, you have to make sure that the deliverables are being done according to the time, the scope, and also the budget. Monitoring and controlling is very, very important process because this is also where one of the activities is to make sure that the quality requirements are being met. You cannot allow people to just run through a certain phase without anyone checking whether the quality is good. It depends on the project, but there are some projects where you cannot let it go like that. Especially if you want to do a process of quality check called in-process checking, which means you check the deliverables as they come, instead of checking at the end, which is what is called appraisal, process checking or quality checking. So quality requirements, you have to make sure, you have to monitor they are being met. If you don't meet the quality requirements, I can tell you, you will have challenges, especially when you are going to have challenges, especially when you want the sponsor, the customer or the user to sign off the deliverable, either as a signal to end of a phase or as a signal to end of a project. So make sure that the quality requirements, they are actually being met during this process of monitoring and control. And like I said earlier, process of monitoring and control, it's not a one shot or one event. It has to be iterative. For each and every phase, it has to go like that. For each and every part of the project, it has to go like that. So it's very, very important that you consider monitoring and controlling activities as part of the project. Important activities also during the monitoring control is to make sure that you always review and control the risks. I can tell you from my experience, there are some risks which are very high during the first phases of the project. So during this project monitoring and controlling process, you have to make sure that you are controlling the risks. Otherwise, they are going to derail the project. So how do you control the risk? Make sure you always review, categorize them, and always refine the responses that you're going to make to the risk. So it's very, very important that during the controlling, you are also controlling the risk, because the risk is a potential to derail the project. So the other important activity during the monitoring and controlling of a project process is you have to make sure that the vendors or any stakeholder we're supposed to complete their work, they are completing their work. That is very important. If you don't monitor that, you'll be shocked that by the time you want or you're expecting a certain deliverable or a certain product in the project, it's not yet done. So it is important that you continuously engage them, whether it's a weekly call, it's a daily call, it's a monthly call, depending on the type of project, but always make sure they are always engaged and they're always completing their work. One of the most important activities is also to make sure that if there are any deviations from what was planned to what was baselined, as a PM, you are also supposed to take corrective measures, especially where it's still possible to do that without additional effort or without additional cost. So always make sure that as a PM, you are taking corrective measures during the monitoring and controlling, which means when you monitor something, you discover there is something which is not going according to the plan or as you planned or baselined. Then you need to sit down with the specific teams, try to understand why is it there's a deviation, how do we control the deviation, how do you recover from the deviation. In some cases, I can tell you from experience, you might be able to recover. In some cases, you might not be able to recover, but you might even ask for additional budget or even ask for additional time. So that is also common in some of the projects. But it is very, very important that during the monitoring and controlling process, you are also making sure that corrective actions, they are being done to any of the deviations. During the process of controlling and monitoring projects, you also have to make sure that the deliverables are also being accepted. So how do you make that accepted? Make sure the quality requirements are also being met. The project-specific requirements are also being met, because the requirements are going to be accepted either by the sponsor or by the customer. So it is very, very important to make sure that as you monitor the progress, it does not make sense for people to just produce some deliverables like that. There must be someone who is accepting those deliverables. So as you monitor, it is also important to check with the individual or the group of stakeholders for them to accept the deliverables. If they don't accept, then it has to be raised either as a change request, or someone has to understand why is it they're not accepting. Is it below standard? Is it not meeting some quality criteria? What is the reason? But the intention or one of the activities is to make sure that the deliverables being produced in the project throughout the project lifecycle, they are also being accepted either by the sponsor or they are being accepted by the users. That is very, very important. The other important point is to make sure that you are also managing change requests as they get approved or denied. So it can happen quite oftenly that some users might discover better ways of thinking about their product, and therefore they might request the project either to change something or to improve something. So once that is coming in, as part of your monitoring and controlling, you just have to make sure that these these particular changes, they are also being monitored and controlled so that they don't derail the objective of the project.